Three, two, one. Hi, Tim.
Hello there.
Tim, thank you so much for inviting us into your space. We're
No
out in
worries.
the east end of Toronto, just a stone step away from the Danforth, and this is our 11th bare bones and upfront selfie video piece. Tim, I start off with just about everyone else. Why Toronto? Why do you do your craft here in this city?
Well, I was born and raised here, so that's that's a big reason. And it's kind of the epicenter in Canada, obviously. There's more going on here than anywhere else, pretty much. And but I was born and raised here. I grew up on Toronto Island,
Oh, wow.
and so my dad's still over there. So, and I've played dances there since I was 16 years old. Big community parties, things like that. So, yeah. So I'm here. I'm entrenched.
For sure. Has the scene changed for you over your time playing in the city?
Well, if you want to talk about like paying bar gigs, there's some that I frequent that that are regular for me. But yeah, it's interesting that in the '80s there was more money for the bands than there are now. You know what I mean? So you got to pick your spots. That's the way I look at it. And I'm not really into passing the hat, which is to me is kind of a little demeaning for it to have to go around. Like you're entertaining, but then you have to bug people for dough. I just find I try to avoid that. But so if that's a change that I've noticed in the last few years, where the less bars, and it's the economy too. Some I think everything's cyclical. It comes around. But in terms of great music, it's always happening, and Toronto's full of great songwriters and people making records.
And that keeps you in the city as opposed to, say, going out on tour or
Well, I
heading
do
to.
both. See,
Okay.
I do a variety of things. So I actually do make my living largely from traveling. Like as a hired guitarist, I play with Ron Sexsmith. I've played with Ron since 2001. Yeah. And I also play lead guitar with Burton Cummings from the Guess Who. So between those two, I do a fair bit of traveling,
Okay.
and I make my living doing that. And I try to find time for my own music, which I record in my home studio largely, except for the drums, which I do in the West End at a place called the Rogue, James Paul's studio. So.
Okay. With that craft and you creating your own music, how do you get your how can I say what drives that creation of your own music?
It's just your brain, if you're a creative person, everybody knows that the people are downloading things for nothing and this and that. It's not the climate for if you're doing it to make money. It's not really a great motivation in these times right now. But it's the creative impulse, where you just need to do it.
This is more of a craft for you,
It's more an
say,
outlet.
than.
It's an expression,
Okay.
self-expression.
All right.
And I try to get it out there the best I can. The channels for that are not always clear to me personally, but I had a great release party for my newest record, which is called Bovaconti, and I put it out myself, and I rammed the Cadillac Lounge in the West End of Toronto and played the album, and it was great. And I sort of covered a lot of my costs, which is just sort of a one way of doing it. Try to have a big splash and just see what sticks, and
Right.
hopefully get some airplay here and there if you can.
Is with your songwriting in general, is it more just you on your own? Do you collaborate with anyone on
Pretty
these?
well all on my own, except for the one song on my new record, on the Bovertones record, which is I wrote the music and I had some ideas for lyrics, and I actually gave it to Ron Sexsmith, and he wrote 90% of the words and helped with the melody too.
Is it for that fact that you actually do your own writing? Is it more just you trust yourself than others, or is it just
I
that's
think,
the way you?
yeah, I've done some collaboration in the past with a few people, but I find I'm just more relaxed doing it getting into a headspace. I like going up north, like to a cottage with a laptop, and a guitar and a little microphone, and using loops, and just getting creative, getting into a headspace, but with no distractions. I don't find I write a lot when in the city. It's weird, even though I live at home. I'm a full-time musician, you know. I don't find it's like I need to get away from everything.
Okay.
And I just get into that space. You know?
One last question then for you. What genre could you kind of put yourself into?
Well, that's the thing with my own records. They're very eclectic. And I also play in a reggae band. I play with the Satellites. They've been around forever. I play guitar with them. So I'm a big reggae nut, and that comes out in some of my bass lines that I do because I play most of the instruments on my stuff. But really deep down, I would say I'm a pop guy. Not in the what they call pop now, Katy Perry, but the classic, really like those tunesmiths like from the '60s. That's my bread and butter, really. But you wouldn't necessarily know that from some of my records, so it's hard to define it. But really pop, like classic songwriting, but with some groove-oriented pieces as well, which maybe I couldn't play on a guitar like this. But, you know.
Well, what can you play us then?
Well, I'll do, I'm going to give you a little snippet of one of my new songs, from the new record, and then I'll play a slightly older song, which is one of my favorites.
All right.
And this one is called The Current Scene Right Now, which was, the title came from City TV's news flash when, was it the G20 or the G8? I'm forgetting my numerical things a couple of years back. And I was just kind of appalled. And it's not even so much of a political song. I was appalled by all the people on the street just creating a crowd, taking pictures, putting it on their Facebook because they're near the riot scene, and almost enabling the criminal activity that was going down, people breaking into shops because the crowd mentality, the mob mentality, even though these people might not have been active in that, it just made me angry. That like they're fostering the opportunity in a sense by creating this tourist protesters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this one goes like this. Let's see if I can remember it now. Show your face to the world. Feet planted on dirty ground, making the noise that you walk around. Set the place afire for a lark. Your picture taken by the barricade. Monday mornings on your Facebook page. It's a currency right now. It's a currency right now. The currency right now. It's a currency right now. It's a currency right now. The currency right now. That's a snippet.
Very cool.
So that's the current scene right now. It's your city TV news report. And I'll give you a little taste of another one. This is one of my favorites. It's a bit older, but it's called In Spite of Yourself.
Okay.
And I'll go right into the first verse. You charted a course for danger, and in between we never win. You need the love of a stranger, or you'll never feel complete. In spite of yourself, you're the only one with eyes that shine like the sun. In spite of yourself, you're a winner, babe, and I've been one. At best you're an anthem, but I still need my walking cane. And you're my Indian summer. When I'm in a drought, you come like rain. In spite of yourself, you're the only one with eyes that shine like the sun. In spite of yourself, you're a winner, babe, and I've been one. And we bury treasures here, and there is a spot where we let our dreams float another snippet. That was a partial version, just to give you a little flavor of a couple songs there.
Tim, thank you so very
You're
much.
very welcome.
All right.
Thanks for dropping by.
Not a problem.
All right.